Toheeb Okenla, thanks so much for joining Cook's Table today. I'm really excited to have you join me. Thank you for saying yes to coming on in the midst of a busy week, really, sounds like. Yeah, I'm excited to get to chat a little bit more about what you do and the various businesses you run and technology in general. So thanks for being here.
Happy to be here. Happy to provide my humble, um, opinions. We'll see.
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Well, I'd love to start off like I usually do with all my guests with just a brief introduction of, who are you? Where do you come from? What has been the journey in a nutshell to kind of get where you are, and what are you up to right now?
Yeah. That's a good question. It's a broad question. Um, but I'll try to keep it short. So yeah, I'm Toheeb. I was born in Nigeria. Just Nigerian background, Nigerian family. Moved here when I was about third grade-ish. And then I, did life here. Go back semi often. Haven't been able to do that lately. And yeah, like at this stage of life, it's, obviously believer first, maybe not obviously, but I think my foremost identity is being a Christian. I've been saved by grace through faith, not of my own doing. And that's effectively what shapes and characterizes the entirety of my life. And then, yeah, dad, dad to two wonderful girls. Um, they're so sweet. And then saving the best for last year, husband to my wonderful wife, Kiara. She is kind of like our glue, keeping our family running, family together. She's yeah, I try to tell her every day, so I don't forget that she's the love of my life and my bride, my prize.
Hmm.
So that's it's kind of what, yeah, most of what at least who I am encompasses.
Mhm.
What I do might, shift depending on the season. Uh, but at least I'll pause there and maybe, let you drive kind of where you want
Yeah,
to
yeah. I'd love to
see it.
hear kind of the career journey and maybe, going back to when you were in college and what have you, and kind of how that leads up to what exactly your roles are right now, what exactly you're up to with your
Yeah,
businesses and that type of thing.
that's good. Yeah, so yeah, career wise, I think I started working high school cutting grass. So I've cut a lot of lawns in my life. Um,
I can relate to that. I don't know if we've talked about that before in our previous conversation, but I can relate to that deeply. So
okay, so you did some
I did as well. Yeah, first business.
yeah, I ran. I worked for my township, so
Okay.
it would be anywhere from like 10 to 30 lawns like a day. Just like blowing through them. I didn't think we did the greatest of jobs now being now a owner and knowing what good looks like. But we
Right.
did that. We got a very nice summer tan from there. And then, I went to school, studied computer science and business. And, kind of right out of, college, started working in the industry, software engineering space. But maybe I'll backtrack a little bit. In high school, we were part of this kind of network. It was called NIFTY, Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
Um, and kind of the goal was to start and run a business and like compete with it. And so me and my business partner, Jesus Fernandez, we played a lot of soccer. We played on the team. And one of the things that bugged us a ton was, when our shin guards would like slide down and we'd have to like adjust it during the game. If you
Hmm.
watch the recent World Cup, you'd see a lot of kind of like bending down and adjusting. And so we created this soccer sock that had a pocket where you could put the shin guard in, and it would stay still throughout the game. You didn't have to worry about kind of adjusting your shin guard. And so we were able to like compete with that um, district wide, regionally, win regions, and we went national to compete across the country, and ended up
Wow.
winning the entire National Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge, which gave us really really great coaching opportunities. We got to meet the president and kind of present some of our business artifacts to him, and then we were able to get some funding to run the business for a while, actually.
Wow.
And so we ran the business into college. So I was doing school and also running the business and doing all these different things, setting up supply chain pipeline, and you know, but and so we did that for a while. Ended up, kind of closing the business when it's ran its course, and then from college we worked in the industry for a little bit, and then recently I shifted to working on my own product startup called 15. And maybe we can talk a bit more about that later. But
Sure.
basically, it's an application. It's an async messaging platform for experts. I like to call it the Calendly, but for maybe like millennials and like early Gen Zs. And that's um, I remember at one point I was working on a piece of technology that was kind of on the cutting edge. It was a window of time when I was doing that, and I just got a ton of like expert requests, like from these institutions called expert networks,
Hmm.
and just folks in general. Like, hey, we saw that you. I'm like, first of all, how'd you get like the information? But data just goes around everywhere these days.
Right.
And effectively, yeah, it was like, hey, you want to hop on a call? Like, what's your rate? Like, hop on a call. What's your rate? Hop on a call. What's your rate? And I just thought, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. It's not just
Uh,
me. I've
pop-
been at this use case,
Popular
but
guy. Popular guy. Yeah.
well, for that window, yeah, they don't call anymore. But yeah, I was just like, hey, like, I don't want to like get on a call. Like, it's like maybe the late millennial, like, I don't know what characteristics, but I was like, I would rather just like text you, and I
Hmm.
don't want to like set up a time. I would rather just respond like on my train home, or like when I get some free time, or send you like a voice note. I'm a real big like stickler of like, if you can do it asynchronously, like let's start there.
Hmm.
So that's how 15 was born, right? People want to grab 15. Hey, you got 15 for a coffee chat. Can I pick your brain for 15 minutes? And so this platform, you're able to, for the folks that are in market, who folks are willing to kind of pay for their time, um, but don't want to deal with the DMs and the kind of setting up time to synchronously meet over Zoom or a call or something like that. Then you just set your rate, and the DMs you get will already be paid, and then you can just respond async, which is, I think, combines a lot of what what I value, maybe
Yeah.
async communication, being paid for your time, and just good software. So that's what I've
Wow.
been doing lately.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I definitely want to get into that a little bit later in this interview episode here. But what do you study in college? I guess I don't know if I caught that or if you
Yes.
said that. But
Um,
what do you study in college?
that's a good question. I did computer science and
Uh-huh.
business. And then from a master's, I got a master's in machine learning from Georgia
Okay.
Tech.
Wow. Okay. And then I was also curious, location, like logistically, I guess, location wise, when you moved here from Nigeria, where did you grow up in the
Yeah.
States?
Yeah. So I grew up in the Chicago suburbs,
Okay.
the South suburbs, suburb called South Holland. Shout out to South Holland, village of South Holland. And then, which is like, 10, call it 15 to 20 minutes away from like downtown proper, depending on
Yeah.
traffic.
Okay.
Um, so close enough to the city to like, frequent Chicago, but not close enough to live actually in Chicago, which I think in hindsight, I think that was a great move for
Mm,
my family. And since then, I've since moved into the city now.
okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Wow. So, and when you were in college, how did you get involved with the organization that you ended up, I guess, the National Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge? How did you get involved with that? Like that sounds,
Yeah,
I don't know, that's a really cool experience, it sounds like.
no,
And you competed at the highest level, it also sounds like, so
it is, it is, it is. That's a good question. So this was actually in high school. It was my last year of high school, though,
high school. Okay. Okay.
right before I went to college.
Got it.
And it's the organization is called here goes another acronym. It's called NIFTY, Network for
Right.
Teaching Entrepreneurship. And so
Okay.
their mission is, hey, we want to teach an entrepreneurial curriculum to students while they are, still in high school, and I think they even branched to middle school. Because I think the belief is that entrepreneurship just sparks a lot of like creativity, a lot of just your strengths, um, and doing it when you're young just exposes you to a lot of skills and tools that is super beneficial when you're older, even if you don't go on to like run a business. Um,
100%.
as we get older, we realize that life is a business. You you gotta make sure your expenses don't surpass your income and all these different things. And
Yes.
so, yeah, it was really cool. So they were embedded in our schools, and my school was teaching a network for, I guess, yeah, my school was teaching an entrepreneurship curriculum from the network for teaching entrepreneurship. I went to Thornwood High School, go Thunderbirds. Um, and yeah, so we just took it, and we took it seriously because we had a real problem. Again, like similar to 15, the business we ran back then. It was just because of something that was annoying us, and we wanted to like make a little better.
Yep.
And so we ran with it, and man, it was a wonderful experience. Definitely one of like the biggest highlights I think of my like teenage years for sure.
Wow. Wow. Um, yeah, I wonder about the impact of that for you as you reflect on it now. Do you
Mm.
think do you think you would be where you are in the sense of having the confidence and the skill set to be able to start an app company like 15 or do the other type of entrepreneurship stuff that you've done outside of that experience in high school? Or do you think that you still would have ended up where you're at, regardless? How formative was it for you, I guess?
Yeah, I, you know, I'll answer the latter, which is I think it was pretty formative.
Yeah.
Would I if I never counted it? Maybe. I think prior to the network for teach entrepreneurship, um, in middle school, I used to like back when like MP3 players were like rare and like hot. Um, I used to just like buy them, like fix them up, or like sell them, at a buy them in bulk and sell them at a premium. And so buying and selling and and making money you're selling. I'm not your sales expert, but I think like I had at least an inclination for it naturally.
Sure. Sure.
Um, because there was no other way I was gonna fund like getting like the sneakers that I liked
Yep.
and these like extra things, right? Um, and so yeah, in high school, going through NIFTY, I think it was really formative, and the benefits I see from it now is um like the barrier to entry, the mental, maybe we call it barrier to entry of just like, hey, I'm going to start something, I'm going to roll with it. And, here's what accounting looks like. Here's what, maybe outreach might look like. Here's, what the business plan is, like how to turn up a business plan and okay, let's validate actually the idea. Like, do people actually want it? I know I want it, but I'm not everybody. And so is there
Right.
even a market for it? And just kind of thinking about yeah, competitors, SWOT analysis, all that stuff is it's just natural to us. I didn't have to like relearn it um when starting a business or working in that space. And so I think all of that has been super formative. And then really, part of our nifty curriculum was like presenting like
Hmm.
in front of a lot of people,
Wow.
business presentations and um and yeah, so a lot of like getting up and like I don't know all the answers, but I'm gonna be confident
Right.
about what I do know. Um, I think helped me just kind of realize that. I think one of the biggest lessons that I believe in now is maybe it shouldn't be like this. Maybe this is just the state of the world, but like it almost doesn't matter what you're selling as long as you can sell it well. It seems like is the name of the game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it
Uh,
almost doesn't matter. Like as long
right.
as you make it appealing, the idea of it appealing, and
Right.
and market it, and then that's the name of the game. And so, um, I think I learned that lesson way early on, which is, yeah, we knew our stuff, our business plan, the pitch competitions, right? You're in front of judges and all these different things. But at the same time, like you got to sell like people buy
Yep.
you more than they buy the product.
Mm.
Maybe not, at least at the beginning. So
What do you think set your idea with the soccer socks apart from, I guess I'm assuming hundreds or thousands of other applicants for this competition? What was the secret sauce there? I mean, you mentioned a couple things already, but what would you say?
no, that's a good question. I, I think it was probably us, like I
Yeah.
just said, like the people, me and my buddy Jesus. I don't know. Like probably maybe more Jesus than me, or maybe equally both. But we can come in and like if we're in a room, you can know that we're in the room, and kind of sell us. I think that
Right.
that was probably one of the big things that because I don't want to diminish like what we were doing. It was legitimate, but we're high school students, right? Like,
Right.
like for sure, a lot of talented high school students out there, but there's a difference between a high school student and maybe like a seasoned professional. And
Mm,
so, you know, what impressed judges for sure was knowing our stuff and the plan and just kind of some of the execution we were having. But I think that was minor to just how we presented and how we um, kind of showed up. And so I think that probably was set us apart.
wow.
Maybe if they put this over, they can reach back out and say true or false. I don't know, but that's what I.
I love that. I mean, yeah, it's so cool the stories I hear when I do these interviews because there's, yeah, so many different, just unique experiences, and that's one I've never heard of before.
Yeah, no.
I guess what kind of I'm curious too, like how does one, because I'll say this, the audience that I'm trying to reach through this podcast is the next generation, and
Yeah,
thinking through high school students, college students who are, and even fresh out of college who are
yeah.
passionate about business ownership, passionate about taking an idea and making a business around it, and really equipping them and inspiring them, encouraging them in that. And a story like this is very inspiring, and some of what you said I think will really resonate. But I think some people will be left asking, how do you cultivate the kind of presence that you guys had at that age? And I guess my question maybe is, um, do you have a family background with some of that? Are your parents kind of entrepreneurial? Were you able to get a lot of stuff from them that helped you kind of develop that presence, or was it from another source, or was it just kind of innate? I guess that's like three different options, but how would you answer that question?
Well, that's a really good question. I, w- I would say my parents were ambitious. I don't know if entrepreneurial is the word,
Sure. Yeah.
but your typical immigrant story, right? Like we're
Mm,
gonna go blaze a path, um, but we're probably gonna choose the most like sure path.
sure. Right.
Oftentimes, entrepreneurship is like not the most like paved path
Right.
available, and so I would say they're ambitious. What how do you cultivate that? Quite honestly, like, one of the kind of desires and not desires, but like promises I made to God is, every time someone asks, "Oh, how do you do it? How do you whatever?" Like, I'm gonna be honest about it, and I really do think honest here is God's grace. Like, and um, I remember going through the entrepreneurial journey and working with coaches and things like that, and how we started off and how we ended off were like two separate were like night and day. And so I really do think like the primary like mechanism is just God's grace, praying to the Lord, like, okay, like, you know, even from someone in your position, you want to reach the youth, like it's not too big of a prayer to say, Lord, like, start with like cultivating their heart to want to create good things for the glory of God, like
Mhm.
um, we're in the market, we see like, you know, the strategy organizations use. They start off with something nice, and then it like slowly gets degraded over time, and it becomes all about the money, and
Right.
the consumer, kind of becomes an afterthought. And I believe as believers, like the Lord wants us to like just create good stuff, get obviously compensated for it, but like truly care about the customer like first, even
Mhm.
if it means like you're only gonna get, flat revenue for that year.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I think, at least that's my heart. Like all the businesses I've started and just the endeavors, it's like, number one, Lord, I'm going to, whenever people ask, I'm gonna be 100%, 100%, 100% honest about like, hey, it's by your grace and by your glory. And for sure, there are practical mechanisms. Like if I just pray and then do nothing, like nothing happens, right?
Right.
Um, but I'm gonna be honest, and then number two, um, like I'm gonna be fair. Like if it, like do what is best for the consumer, like
Yeah.
even if it means like not existing anymore,
Mhm.
or even if it means yeah, like I could charge here, but like realistically, what might make this more accessible is here.
Mhm.
Um, and then Lord, you do with the results how you want to do with it. And so that's a long way to say. I think number one is the Lord's grace. Um, and then I think number two, um, find a really good partner that can like
Mhm.
really spur you on. I really love that me and Jesus did things in pairs. Um, because where I was weak, he was strong. Where I was strong, he might have not been as strong. And
Mhm.
so, I can't imagine like maybe that's some of the sauce, but like I can't imagine like having done this like by myself. Some people are built like that, but I think to scale, man, pair people up,
Yeah. Yeah.
like and let them do it and find something they love, um, and like let them run with it, and especially with entrepreneurship, right? Some days are like the worst days ever. And some days are like the best days ever. And like difference, it could all be the same day,
Right. Right.
depending on what news you get. And so, you mature out of that over time, but having a friend, or a partner that is also a friend or someone you really trust can help like, smoothing out those aberrations. And I think that really was what helped us go as far as we did, as long as we did. Some
Mhm.
days I would feel it, some days we'll feel it. And especially as kids, right? You just want to like leave
Right.
something. You just,
Right.
but yeah, with the younger generation, I think, yeah, find a friend, solve a business problem.
Yeah. Have you taken that principle of finding a friend into ventures that you've done as an adult as well?
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot harder as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot
Totally.
harder as an adult. I'm realizing that, yeah, like, if, in some of the business endeavors I worked on, like, absolutely, I would, there's some scenarios where I've partnered with folks and worked with folks and it's been great and they've been my friends and right now I'm running 15 solo. It's still pretty nascent and, there's still room for, obviously bringing folks on. But, yeah, like finding someone that, especially if it's like, what I'm doing is, maybe the actual product isn't directly like, something, religious.
Mhm.
But personally, it's like Lord, I want to glorify you in this, and I don't want to be shady, and I want to like be fair, and I want to be honest, and I want this to succeed as long as you want it to succeed.
Mhm.
A lot harder, like those are hard constraints to bring people into.
Yeah.
Um, I'm realizing and so yes, agreed that the principles from when I was young, bring a friend along. Like I still, at least in my current space, I still think like if the Lord writes it that way, I think it'd be a really good thing. But the older I get, the more I realize, okay, you have to be a little bit more strategic with
Sure.
who you partner with, especially with business and business that you want to glorify God with.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. Well, last, I guess, couple questions about the high school experience.
Yeah.
I just find that so fascinating. I think it's so applicable to the audience too. But what was it like to present to the president? I mean, like that has got to be a crazy experience, like once in
Yeah,
a
it was
lifetime.
dope. It was dope. It was dope. I think it's been enough years I can like share some of this stuff. Hopefully folks don't come after. But, this was during President Obama's presidency,
Yeah.
and uh, really cool meeting him. We brought a sock and, showed him, hey, told him like,
Yeah.
hey, we only get so much time, right? It's the president
Right.
scheduled, like every like half minute is scheduled, right? Um, but one of the coolest thing is like, while we were waiting, to go into the Oval Office, like we're in the West Wing. That was my first time like hearing about the West Wing. I'm like, what's the West Wing?
Wow.
I'm like, oh, this is not the White House. Like the president isn't in the White House all the time. It's in the West Wing. But maybe being a bit of a rascal, one of the things they told us was like, hey, and this is so weird. Like I met the president, but like this is like my most fond memory. But um, hey, like put your phone away. Like I think they even like took some phones. Like, hey, like the phones are not allowed in the West Wing. Like unless you're like staff or whatever. Cool. Everyone put their phone away. Um, and yeah, for some reason I ended up in a bathroom. I was, oh, let me go to the bathroom. And I realized I had my phone on me. So I like took some like selfie pictures in the West Wing, bathroom with the West Wing. Um, I still have that picture somewhere. I should probably go get it framed, but I just like snuck it. And in my head, I'm just
Wow.
thinking, oh my gosh, like they probably have some technology to like know that I took this picture and this
Right.
whatever. Um, but and then we met the president and had fun. And then we left, and I finally showed my friend, like, yo, like, I got the picture of the West Wing, and it was like, oh my gosh, I do that. But yeah, that was like, I think that was like one of the most cool, like, this, young kid from Nigeria.
Mm,
Thankfully, my parents were stellar. I praise God for them. But yeah, to end up in the White House and you're in the West Wing taking pictures, yeah, it was pretty cool to like kind of reflect on it, even in the moment. And so that was one of the coolest moments. President was cool too.
yeah.
That was more so like, he met a lot of people that day. Like you're not the only one. Like, we were one of the few like nifty students, but the schedule, the docket that he would have would be pretty full. So it was
Right.
really cool. We took a picture. It's framed. It's somewhere. And yeah, I think that was definitely one of the highlights, at least of that fall.
Unreal. Unreal. Yeah, that's
And
so cool.
one thing that was really cool is I would like leave school. So by that time I was in college. I was at the U of I,
Hmm.
the only U of I, yeah, University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Um, and like I'd be like, oh yeah, I can't like be here next week. Like I'm going to the White House. I'm going to the White House. Meet the president or like it was a couple of the cool things we did. Like, oh yeah, I can't be here. Like I'll be. There was like a couple months stretch where we were just flying like everywhere. Like we met like some of the sharks on Shark Tank
Oh my
and
gosh.
got some advice. Yeah, and yeah, I think we presented to them. We like did a bunch of like cool stuff, and it was like, yeah, sorry, I can't like hey teach, I can't like submit this assignment. Like I'll do it later. Like my exemption is that like I need to like be in Washington or I need to be in
Right. Right.
yeah.
That's crazy. So I think everyone is probably asking themselves this question at this point. I certainly am. Is you go through all of this, you win at the highest level, you've got this idea, you get funding, you're talking to the sharks, you're talking to the president. What happened? Like where did the socks? You said it ran its course. Where did the socks end up? Can we still find these socks
Yeah,
somewhere? You
yeah.
know?
So we no, that's a really good question. We yeah. So uh, one of the things we learned the hard way was that um textile and working with like textile, it's a different beast. And so
Mm,
right, stocks at the end of the day are just like producing material. And so um I remember one of the first things is okay, like with the funding we have we can probably get like 5 to 10,000 units created. 5 to 10,000 units of anything in the textile industry is like minuscule. It's not even worth like
yeah,
turning on some of these manufacturers turning on their machine for they like
sure.
lose money. So trying to like we needed to operate the industry we were at, and given the stage we're at, required much more scale than we could like support with even with all the funding that we had.
Okay.
Um, and so we were able to like make some things work and get our first shipment out, prototypes, and um, we pursued a patent for a while. But quite honestly, the scale we needed as what 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds at that time. 17 year
Right.
olds and 18-year-olds these days can do a whole lot more
Mm,
than we could at that time. And so 17, 18-year-olds at that time, we just couldn't sustain it. So we ran the business up until I think almost the end of yeah, actually, oh wow, everything's like coming back to memory now. Yeah, we were running the business all throughout my college career, and then I at the end of the like my senior year, we were a part of this cohort at Illinois. I forget all the details, but they were like incubating like small businesses, right? And so like, we were part of it and presented and, just basically submitted our application, and we had gotten an offer to effectively for some amount of equity. I don't remember all the details now, but some amount of equity. Like, hey, we, you can run the business. We'll fund you at a little larger scale than, closer to what we might have needed.
Sure.
And so we had this offer for the business, right? Like, hey, get some funding. And then we had like software engineering job offers.
Yeah.
um, and we were like, which one's more sure, as me
Sure.
and Susan were both like first gen immigrants. And so our first gen immigrant brain like took over. We were like, yeah, we're gonna take the job offers. We're gonna take the job offers.
Got it.
Just 'cause, we think that's more secure, especially after 4 years of really difficult college time. So, yeah, we just made an executive decision.
Yep. Got it. Got it. I mean, did you ever consider like selling the rights or having somebody else like completely take the idea? Or is the idea still like you could come back to it if you wanted to kind of thing?
I think we can still come back to it, but no, we never considered that. And, like,
Okay.
again, um, us now and us back then, different
Sure.
I guess brains,
Yep.
quite
Yep.
literally. So yeah.
Totally. Yeah, they weren't even developed yet at that point,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, okay. That's really cool. That's a cool story. I love, yeah, so much about that is so applicable. So, you also mentioned I want to transition a little bit and talk about some of what you've learned maybe in the more recent years about like your hard wiring and some of your the way that you operate. I think you mentioned how uh, with Jesus you were able to see pretty clearly the balance between y'all. Like you were good at certain things, she was good at certain things. You kind of balanced each other out. Um, yeah, what were, I guess, I mean, maybe dating back to that time, but even as you've gone through the rest of your journey, what are some other lessons you've learned about yourself and kind of how you're wired and how you approach things that would be helpful to people who are looking at, I mean, really just trying to discover themselves, because so many young people are just trying to discover who has God made me to be. What is my unique, role in the world? And it's oftentimes found this in my own life. Oftentimes, contrast can be clarity. So understanding someone else's
Right,
journey and
right.
where what you know about yourself. What have you come across? And honestly,
Mm,
entrepreneurship is some of the best training ground to find that out too, as you mentioned. So
right. Yeah, I guess I can start maybe theoretically and then maybe some practical. So theoretically, I think, I guess not theoretically, this might be more theologically. I think like the what am I made to do question, especially with my like daughters and just kids in general. I'm thinking, okay, how do I like distill at least some of my convictions?
sure.
And you know, there's some questions that have like one right answer. I don't think that question is one of those questions. I
Hmm.
think, what am I made to do? I think the answer is like whatever you're good at and whatever like kind of can provide for your family and help you to be a faithful worker in the kingdom. And so that can look like a bunch of different things in a bunch of different seasons. Um, so totally, m- maybe that's more on the theological side. Um, and so like personally, like when I was, trying to understand where do I go into whatever, I love telling the story. It was my senior year. I was in a Nifty class. Actually, Nifty is just tied into all these things. I was in a Nifty class and I was talking to my teacher, Mr. Gray. Um, and I still like I still am just like, man, well, thank you so much. Thank you, Lord, for all your grace. Cause like I was not like serious at all. Like I was a good student, but like I just didn't get like how serious college was and college applications. And I still remember writing like my college essays, just like like laying down like on the bed, just like not serious at all. Like definitely I would have a different level of rigor now if I were to do it over again than I did
Sure.
when I did. And so one of the things I would ask him, ask Mr. Gray was like, hey, like, because we're graduating seniors, like, what do you want to do? I literally asked him like, hey, what like makes the most money? Yeah, passion aside, and I think he like looked online, like this was an entrepreneurship class and we had computers, so he just like looked online and like IT or software was like one of the top ones. I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. that and that's how I decided like what
Wow.
yeah, I was gonna do. And so I think a lot of that is testament. Maybe it's like, oh, like lucky match, but I think a lot of that is the test. A lot of that is says a lot to how the Lord, as long as you're willing to do at least something you're good at, right? I could totally see a world where I would have tried that in college and maybe that wasn't cool, but then I tried another one, that wasn't cool. But finding, whatever I'm good at, I totally see how the Lord just blesses it. Like, okay, you
Hmm.
do it and you're good at it and bless it. And so I think I try to preach like a message of like, don't overthink it. Obviously have people around you that can like speak into your life and wow, like you're really technical, like you're really good. Like ever since I was little, I knew like I like building, like what like it was like I remember in Nigeria like building like watching adults like build like a house from the ground and doing all this stuff and I try to help. Um and so I could have landed in something like architecture or even construction or construction management, whatever it might look like. Um these days we build software, but I just remember I like being like building. And so um yeah, I think do what you're good at, what you might, have an inclination towards. And like also like, cross-reference that with what makes you like money or can sustain you if you need that. Maybe you're in a space where you don't need that as a source of sustenance, but cross-reference that with what can like sustain you and then just do those things. And sometimes it might not be something you just like love. Like, oh, I wake up. But that's okay. Like I don't think God ever promised us like every day we're gonna wake up and like do something that like doesn't feel like work,
Hmm. Hmm.
um and so that's number one. Number two, to answer your question, one of the best ways I've heard someone put it is like instead of figuring out like your what, like your noun, figure out your verb. So like instead of saying, oh, what do you want to do? I want to be like a nurse, you could say, no, I want to like help and heal people.
Hmm.
I guess nurse can also be a verb. Different. Uh, you get what I'm saying. Like instead
Yeah.
of saying
Yeah.
I want to like be an accountant, right? Shout outs to the accounting industry.
Sure.
You could say, hey, like I want to like I like am just a calculator person. Like I want to um I don't know, whatever verb that might be to like accountancy. I'm trying to like
Right.
make it, you know what I mean? But whatever your
No, I
verb
get you.
might be, then that opens up a world of like nouns for you to like look into and explore, especially when you're younger. You have time to explore.
It's good.
And
Yeah.
so, like, yeah, I think I figured out my verb just like early on, like to build, um, and hopefully it makes money while I do it, right? Because I need to feed my family, and so cross reference with a bunch of things that works out. And then if I ever shifted out of the industry or did something else, um, I think I would be naturally inclined to do something that still involves building, right? um, be it building teams, building whatever it might be, still is anything like inclined towards that way. I think I'd probably lean towards. So, those are my two pieces of advice. That was a long way around, but yeah,
That is fantastic. That is some of the best, yeah, kind of the best summation of some of that identity journey or the question of yeah, finding out who you are that I've heard in a while. So yeah, appreciate that. And I love how finding a verb, I guess, it doesn't pigeonhole you. I mean, and that's what you're saying, but it's like it can, it's so much, it's something that's so much deeper
yeah,
than just a job title, you
yeah,
know? And I think that speaks to even our shared faith, as well as like, I think God doesn't see us as a product of what we do or just defined by what we do, right? And that type of thing. But he's created us with that like verb statement or a couple of them, they're like, this is what, the story that I've given Andrew, the story that I've given Toheeb, and the personality that I created them with, that
Mhm.
allows them to do it no matter what area of life. Like, it could even be in your family, it could be in your, not just work, right? It could be family, it could be your church, it could be, the community around you. It's like build still applies to all of that. And for me,
Yeah.
whatever that is for me, I think I'm still, figuring that out. I have to kind of boil it down if I was thinking about it for me to one or two. There's a lot I've considered, but I love that. That's really
Yeah.
fantastic.
And I think
So,
someone put it really well. They said we are God made us human beings, not
mm,
human doings, right? It's kind of corny. Um, but I
I love
like it.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
like God just wants us to like to be. And I think pardon me. One more thing I'd add to that is like your verb doesn't have to be optimized in like your 9 to 5. Like you could be your 9 to 5 could be something else. And that's just it just that's what pays the bills, that's whatever. And then your verb is like you said, elsewhere. It could be a church, in the community, whatever. And so I think there's a lot of pressure like for folks to like, have their 9 to 5 be like their like dream, perfectly aligned space to be in. And again,
Right.
you pursue it, right? You shift to different things. But I think not expecting that to be the case always, and realizing that you can still do your verb outside of work.
Mm,
Um, uh, I think that like just makes like it like just so much easier. I guess easier is not the word. It relieves a lot of pressure rather.
yeah.
For especially young folks trying to figure out what do I do, what do I want to be, whatever. Like my job, like jobs, like live or die, end all be all. It's like no, like you can sometimes you can not really like you can make great, you know, a great living from your job, but it's just what you do, and really, what you really like to do is outside of that, and so,
Hmm.
um, you know, one is a means to an end. Sometimes all aligned in one. Yeah, I think there's a lot of sometimes it's your family, and so anyway.
That's good. I love that. Well, let's shift a little bit. I want to talk about technology. I want to talk about some of your work in that space. And
Yeah,
yeah, I think to start, I found it so interesting that you said earlier on, you said something like, we were 17, 18, it was a lot to handle or whatever, but man, people who are that age now, they could do so much more, like that type of thing. And I can't imagine, I imagine that what you're referring to is technology related and, just the advancements that we've been able to make since you were 17. Um, yeah, I think it's an exciting time to be a young person and exciting time to be in the next generation if you want to start a business. So would love to kind of get into all of this, all of the above. But you've spent some number of years now. You can correct me or kind of give me an idea of what that looks like, give the audience an idea of what that looks like. But as a fractional CTO, kind of offering services fractionally in the
yeah,
technology space to businesses, what are when you think about that work, what are a few questions you ask companies when you first start to engage with them on a fractional CTO basis?
yeah. No, that's sometimes I like to joke that I'm probably like the worst uh like business owner sometimes because oftentimes like in in those situations, like I find myself talking myself out of a job, and I
Mm,
think that's like where my value is. Um, and thankfully, right, like I've been, I've been in a space where, like, the fractional work I do is fractional. Like, my whole job might be something else, and so, um, you know, working with other businesses and a lot of times have been just, added on top or extracurricular and not been like, something where I had to live or die by. I know a lot of consultants and contractors that, that's their main deal. And
right.
so that applies a little differently. But a lot of times when I, interact with businesses and I think my passion is, small businesses that, are looking to use technology to improve kind of the quality of life or the quality of service of what they're doing. Um, and a lot of times like my job when they come in, business, and this is not novel, but business owners have ideas. Hey, I want to do this. Like, I want to do this, and I need this to do it.
Hmm.
Um, and my job a lot of times is to say, you don't need that to do that. You actually, you know, sometimes I try to find the most lo-fi solution, you
Sure.
know, because with technology, there's a cost of technology. Like building the stuff is easy, maintaining it is very hard. And so a lot of times it's me trying to understand like the current state of the business, where they want to go. I work with one business where they were a mobile application that was the roadmap was a lot of like AI like integrations, which is great. But what that meant is your technology choices right now are are gonna matter because
Yeah. Right.
if you choose you know some sort of like maybe cross platform, you want to save money, so you choose a cross platform technology to build it on. Well, great, but if you want to be AI native, there's a cost as it relates to performance and even just availability of some of those features when you're on a cross platform. Um, and so, part of my, what I've spent a lot of time doing is working with business owners to say, hey, like, like you might not want to do this, or you actually don't need this at all. I had this one other business that, they're like, we need an app. We need an app. Like, if we just had an app, everything would be easier. And we sat down and talked about the problem, and the solution wasn't going to be an app. The solution was better data architecture.
Yeah.
No need an app. And so laying it down and breaking it down kind of helps businesses like understand where they need to go. And oftentimes it's the direction they need to go is like no longer my services, which is great. I feel like I did a good job that day if I like prevented a business from wasting X amount of thousands of dollars. That's why I
Sure.
joke and say like I'm probably like one of the worst business owners in the space because yeah, if you tell me you need something, I'm gonna try to convince you that you probably don't. If it's true, you probably don't, and oftentimes that means like you don't need me anymore, which is okay. When you do need me,
Enter 15 when you do need Toheeb,
yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, you need me. You can reach me on 15. No, no. If you actually reach out to me on 15, it's free. I a little shout out to like some of the millennials. Like when you get on the app, like it's me. I'm like your first like connection,
Oh, nice. Okay.
and
Wow.
it's like a picture of like MySpace Tom, but like it's me. It's like my head,
Okay.
like on the side with the whiteboard. Um, and so it's just a little funny thing there, but. Yeah, no, when these like companies that I worked with, when it is like, hey, like, okay, we understand what we build, we understand where we're going, let's do this. Then I can help support by either helping build, or actually where I've seen that a lot of my value land is oftentimes they have a team already, whether it's outsourced or wherever that might be. They have a team that is doing the building.
Hmm.
But maybe being a non-technical founder, they don't know how to communicate like their desires into what that would mean technically, and then like delivering that to the team to build it. And oftentimes these teams like, yeah, they're well-meaning, but like their job is to just like keep writing code. And so like even if something's not the best idea, they're gonna do it, because that means they're gonna need them to fix it, right?
Right.
um,
Right.
and which provides this like longer relationship that you need. And so a lot of times my job is to say, hey, okay, we want to do this. This is how we should approach it. This is how we should break it down. Um, and and I will be your CTO or tech lead, whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
to help you bring that to life by essentially managing this team that you already have. Make sure we're building quality, um, evaluating whether you should renew your contract with them,
Mm.
or find a different team. And so, yeah.
What percentage of companies come to you for help with their internal facing operational technology versus like selling technology in the marketplace?
I actually don't think that's a good question. I don't think I've had any clients that have I don't think I've had any clients that were building internal platforms,
Okay, gotcha.
which is actually quite interesting. Maybe something to reflect on. I love internal platforms. I think the best
Yeah,
customers
yeah,
are internal customers. Um, but yeah, no, I think most of them are external facing. Hey, we have this product for people, things like that.
got it. Okay. Okay. Well, I was going to ask, and since you did say that you love internal facing platforms as well, I was going to ask because I've just had many conversations recently, I feel like, about this, but with the rise of vibe coding with, the
Yeah.
LLMs and Claude and all that, I guess I'm curious, what questions should companies be asking when, evaluating whether or not they'll custom build a software product for their operational needs versus use an existing vendor for their operational needs, an existing technology that
Yeah.
exists already?
No, that's a really good question. I think the answer is simple. Like, are you also, I think, you can build internally if, you are also willing to maintain it.
Mm,
I think maybe like a well kept secret, um, like prior to like a lot of AI tooling is like building is the easy part,
yeah.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Hard part is maintaining it over time, handling scale, redundancy, all these different things that like require like day to day. I always tell people like, you know, you use a Facebook app every day. Not much like changes, some change here and there, but like over time, not much changes. But there's still a lot of people employed to like work on that app. So like, what are
Yeah.
they working on? If like you're not getting like new features every day, there are people that are
It's a good
going
point.
every day. It's because a lot of times teams are maintaining, updating, and kind of keeping the lights on. And so, you're a small business owner, you want to vibe code the thing, great. Let's even assume, it can get really hinky about whether you can like actually release like a quality product, but maybe you just don't, maybe you just needed something, right? And you get it out, cool. Now you need to like maintain it. And I think that is like where the cost is very
Mm,
heavy. And so you see folks that um, release a product, but then over time, it's like, okay, how do I like maintain this at scale?
yeah.
Um, and you can still use AI to maintain, right? For sure. Um, would probably, yeah, you eat the cost somewhere. No such thing as free lunch, right? So
Mm,
either
mhm.
you just eat the cost and just, bang in the tokens, and maybe that's cheaper than, and like these days, it's like, it's almost not as cheap.
Right.
It's almost
Right.
like sort of hire a human being. Um, or you need to like have a team that kind of helps maintain things and stuff like that. So, but if you don't
Yeah.
want to maintain, maybe it might be better to buy.
Sure. Sure. Um, I have, yeah, I guess on the internal side, that's one side, but then sounds like a lot of people you work with on the external side. I've got other friends who are working on building currently vibe
Yeah.
coding, if you will, non-technical people who are building apps using Claude or, the other LLMs. What advice would you give to those guys specifically, those guys or gals, as they
Yeah.
work to build that product and then market and sell it? I'm thinking of one friend of mine who is building like a fitness app or like there tons of entrepreneurial ideas. The entrepreneurial ideas,
Yeah.
just abound, right, with a new technology. So what comes to mind there? Things to focus on, pitfalls to avoid, those types of things.
Yeah. Um, that's a really good question. So a lot these days I encounter like when you work in the industry, you use AI a lot differently from like maybe like just like traditional consumers like use AI.
Sure, sure.
Um, oftentimes I work in spaces where we are building the AI capabilities itself. I've had like previous work experience where, we're training the models and doing this stuff. And so like, I guess seeing things on the internal, I get stuck, in between two, like, people that love AI and I guess AI only, that's the way to go. And then people that are like, it produces nonsense. I hate it. I'm anti AI.
Totally. Yeah.
Um, I like to consider myself an AI realist, right? Like I'm touching the stuff and I'm doing the stuff in real time. And so, um, obviously there's benefits. like, like I gotta be honest, like, I don't want to hate on something just to hate on something.
Right.
But there's also, like we talked about at the beginning of our interview here, um, or I guess podcast here. Sometimes it almost doesn't matter what you sell as long as you can, what you're selling, as long as you can sell it well.
Right.
And I think that there's a lot of really good marketing around AI, and what AI can do, and what people promise AI can do. Wow, there's
Right.
like Grand Canyon worth of space in between
Wow.
those two.
Yeah.
And so then to your question about what would you how would you advise maybe some folks working on it? Um, I think these days you can get like POC, even like, B1 versions out like really easily.
And
Um,
sorry, what do you mean by what are those acronyms for those who don't know?
right. Sorry, POC, like proof of concept, or
Okay.
like the initial version of an application out pretty easily, like and that's great. Um, but what that means is everyone else can too.
Right. Right.
um, and so it's not a differentiating factor anymore.
Mm,
To be able to get something out, or have a cool idea. You can have a cool idea today and I see it and I can just go build it myself, right? Like the next day or next week or something like that. As long as I have the money for the tokens. And so I think the differentiating factor, being the business value and the value
mm,
you're delivering to customers, is like more important than ever. Um, and so, yeah, it's not flashy advice. It's kind of like the age old advice, but it's like your value prop is now so much more like highlighted than ever. Everyone has great UI, depending on what you consider great UI. Everyone has great,
user interface. Yeah.
yeah, user interface. Pardon me. Everyone has great user interface. Everyone has not everyone has Android and iOS. Everyone has like these like technological things that used to like differ people. Everyone can use AI now. Like everyone can just, like everyone can make a smart version of this thing. Um, And so, what value, prop are you actually delivering? So I think that's one thing that I would advise, like, folks that are working on this stuff, like, really really get it down and see if there's a moat you can create. I think
Hmm.
the other thing is sales, man. Sales, man. Sales is man. It is, in this last several years, I'm just realizing, like, when my kids get older, like, uh, yeah, I don't care what job they do, like. But it should, like, when they're young, I want them to do something sales related, like
Yeah. Yeah.
sell, 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 because that's the name of the game. Like being able to talk to someone and convince them to take money out of their pocket and give it to you, in exchange for whatever is, like, I think the ultimate skill.
Right.
Um, and that skill is more important now than ever, because again, everyone can have a really good product, but can everyone sell a really good product?
Yep.
And that's what I'm realizing for myself as well. Sales is king.
Wow. Yeah. Totally makes sense. I'm feeling that as well. So that's a great segue into, I guess, a couple things that you said, but into your work with your new app, 15. Um, how are you applying what you just said into that venture? So, obviously you've got an idea, but you mentioned how everyone could take that idea and just make their
Yeah.
own, right? So how are you combating that? And then what are you doing to sell, or like how is that kind of played into it?
Yeah.
What's your pitch? I mean, you already mentioned it in brief, but let's unpack it fully here.
Yeah. Uh, Really good question. One thing I realize is, uh, I'm not the sales guy.
Okay.
Yet. Call it yet, right? It's a
Right.
skill. Build it up.
Right.
I'm not sales guy yet. And if that's all I took from this experience, I think like I've gotten like like a wealth of knowledge in just learning what I'm not good at.
Sure.
Um and again, like, we ran the soccer talk business, had a lot of success, had a lot of failures, and from the failures, like, we learned a lot. Um, and so with our current application 15, I'm learning, as kind of a solo founder here. Hey, like, sales is not my thing. Yet it's not like an innate skill or like a learned skill that I have already, and so I need to like bring some folks in. And so, um, number one, I'm in sales university right now,
Nice.
learning
Yeah.
real time, doing a deal. I think what a lot of founders run into is, but I built a good product. it should just
Right.
sell itself and just kind of resist against that.
Right.
Thankfully, I think even just my prior experience, I realized no, like actually you can sell a product you haven't built. Like that's how important sales is. And so I've really like kind of leaned into that space and I'm educating myself. And then number two, building a sales pipeline and bringing in
Right.
help, um, to kind of help kind of push that out and be it inbound and outbound and all our different mechanisms. That's something I realized that, hey, like this is realized early on that this is something that is worth paying for.
Hmm.
And especially at early stages mine, you have to be really, um, uh, I guess what do you call it, cerebral about what you spend money on.
Yeah.
And so sales is one of the ones we're really putting a lot of money into. And so yeah, for 15, beta right now, we should have our full general release by the end of this month. And yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that we have coming around the sales, around the marketing side, and
It's big. Yeah.
yeah, it's just been really fun. Like I've some folks prior to like kicking all this off, did a lot of interviews and working with a lot of folks. Like, yeah, like what bugs you the most about some of this stuff, and like
Hmm.
would you use this, and how would you use this, and are you getting these type of emails? What are your DMs like? And especially a lot of like kind of senior industry folks are like, yeah, like I get pinged all the time and like get offered like random incentives that may or may not like come through uh like between their regular jobs and families and stuff like that. Like if I could just send a voice note or if I could just like send a text and still deliver like quality, like contribution to conversation, but like in my own time and stuff like that, that'd be so great. And so
Hmm.
yeah, just trying to operationalize that. So
Yeah.
we'll see more to come this fall for sure.
That's really exciting. Yeah. So you mentioned like high level industry folks. Yeah, just give us an idea. List out like the types of people that 15 will likely benefit the most.
Yeah,
Different kind of personas in mind, I guess.
right. Yeah. And so I think like initial kind of like kind of target customers are experienced industry professionals. And so your industry doesn't technically matter
Okay.
um uh, as much as like your experience and kind of like yeah, the value that you bring. And so if you like are familiar with, maybe the listeners are familiar with expert networks, they're reaching out to experts across all businesses, all industries. Um, and so anyone director plus, level where they either have like bespoke insight, um, or they just, it's nice to put a name to a quote. Sometimes that's just, the value, what they're paying for.
Hmm.
Um, or they control maybe, the purse for, certain technology selections or vendor selections or whatever like that. And so, uh, you want to kind of like get into the door with them and have a conversation with them. Um, so industry professionals for sure. Um, but I also think like, one of the areas we're also investing heavily into is, like creators, like
Hmm.
especially like, I don't know if influencers is a term that's still in. I think
Oh
creators
yeah.
is like now the new words, but yeah, like you're a creator. Like people want your time. People value the product or the content that you put out.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like those kind of folks can easily operationalize their inbox to be a bit more, um, I guess, like value for both sides, both them and the folks trying to talk to them. One of the things that I always like to highlight is 15 is not for you to use to like your friends and family. They shouldn't be
Right.
paying for your time, or like, some young student reaches out and like, or, wants to, you have to use your discernment, right? Like this is not, one of the things, um, I want to highlight about the app is it's not a mechanism to like extract money out of every last bit of like decency in human interactions. Like,
Sure. Right.
please, like, keep this away from like your friends and family. Keep this away from folks who ideally shouldn't be paying you to talk to you. Um, well, what I realize is there's already a market where like industry professionals are paying other industry professionals, or like you would think about it, like creators are already being paid for their time or yeah, their time and effort, and so
Right.
this is to operationalize that, and not necessarily you know, hey, I just want to say hi, and like charging me like yeah for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting deal because it's a B2C. The product's a B2C, but the
Right.
customers are not your average consumers, right? Like
Sure.
I mean
Sure.
everyone's important, but not everyone's important for folks to like pay a rate to talk to them,
Yeah.
message them or whatever. And
Yeah.
so it's just kind of like a bespoke group of folks.
Yeah. So if I heard you correctly, one of the other, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard you kind of mention, allude to the fact that you would use this potentially, like higher level executive type of people, even business owners could use this to kind of be a, I don't know, a gatekeeper on people wanting to pitch them, like for other services that they may want to, like for salespeople. I'm thinking, like, like I would get people reaching out to me all the time who are like,
You
I want to
said
pitch
it.
you.
You
What
said
if
it. I.
what if you could, you could basically be like, yeah, I'll listen to your pitch for 15 minutes. Like, here's my rate, like that type of thing.
Yeah, like pay for access is already a thing in the
Yeah.
industry, especially around the sales world. But I mean, I'm sure like you get the message, hey, well, it can go anywhere from, hey, we'll offer you like a T-shirt or like a sticker for your time, to
Right.
like we'll like give you money. What's your rate? Like I've had folks
Well,
reach out and say like, what's your
I,
what's your
I literally got offered a $500 Blackstone grill the other day. So for
yeah,
a 30-minute session.
you
Right.
know.
So,
And it's like, in my head, I'm just like, I don't want to grill. Like, I don't want to grill. Just like, I would love to help. Um, Especially because you're offering a grill or like I think I've had some like varying amounts of like DoorDash or
Right. Oh
Uber
yeah,
Eats card
100%. Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
I don't want that, like just, if you would just pay my rate, and I don't want a T-shirt anymore. I don't want more
Right.
stuff. I don't know. It's so funny. Like when I think about 15, it all came just out of like feeling super annoyed about something. It was just like
Yeah.
I do not want to like set up a time to talk to you async because I
Right.
know the 30 minutes becomes 50 in an
Right.
hour and a
Right.
half.
Right.
And so 15 meters the conversation,
Yep.
right? You get only a certain amount of responses per conversation. I don't want your random gift card, or
Right.
Blackstone
Right.
Grill.
Right.
Just give me, pay me directly there. Um, and like, I'd rather just like do this when I have time,
Yep.
and not like find a synchronous time. And so, maybe, yeah, yeah, I guess some of the best product comes out of being annoyed, but yeah, you're right. Like, the industry where folks are already kind of doing this like operationalize it. I like to think about it like it's Calendly. Like people were already meeting before Calendly existed, right? Like
Yep. Yep.
this is not, there's nothing novel there, but they help operationalize it. Um,
Totally.
and so same with 15. Like you're not going on 15 to go find an expert. You know who you're gonna want to meet. You know who you're interested in. At that point, you just grab their link and slide in their DMs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, it's exciting to see the progress, and sounds like so launch at the end of the month. Where can people go to find more information or keep updated with the progress of what when they can start using it?
Absolutely. Grab15.com. People want to grab 15 from you, so just go to grab15.com and um right now you can get access to the beta.
Okay.
Um but yeah, that'll quickly flip to the actual application. And you'll be able to download and start using it. And um if you have feedback, yeah, I'm your, MySpace Tom friend, so you can always to me. And my rate is free, so it
Great.
was free for Tom to add you. Tom was always loyal; he would add you automatically, so it's free. It's free for you to add me. So
That's great. Well, this has been great, Toheeb. I appreciate this. Two other questions that I ask everybody at the end, most of my guests at least. One looking back, one looking forward, and then we'll wrap up. So, what are you most proud? What are you most proud of? You've accomplished a lot. You've seen a lot, obviously, including going to the White House, visiting the president, winning a national competition. But there's a lot there. That's not the only thing. What are you most proud of as you look back in your career and life so far? And what are you most excited about as you look to the future?
Wow, that's a good question. I think I'm most proud of, I think I like, yeah, if hard to choose what I'm most proud of, especially the last few years. Um, I'd probably say number one, um, I think I'm proud of myself for choosing the right wife.
Wow,
'Cause,
let's go.
I love my wife a lot, and she's just been, I'm a big believer in the scripture says, "Whoever finds a wife finds a good thing." Um, Obviously, times are busier. We have kids, um, but I really do think that, like, not think I've experienced just her being like a good thing in my life. Like, less time. I was telling someone the other day, less time, less margin, but you get more done. Like, I feel like when prior to being married, I had more time, and I could invest in a lot of stuff, but and I got things out of it. But like now, it's just maybe it's focus, maybe it's just my wife's prayers, it's just her by God's grace. But um, I so much more fruit out of the less margin, and so um I like to say good job to me. But really it's just thank God for my wife.
Yeah,
um
yeah, it's cool.
uh, uh and so and we have two wonderful girls who I love so much. And so yes, my bride, Kiara, and then looking forward, what am I most excited for? Um yeah, we're at two right now. I know, we talk about work and industry a lot, but we're at two. We want more kids. We still feel like the Lord, um we will know we are done having kids if um uh we when we realize that we cannot disciple anymore well.
Mm,
And so I don't think we're there yet. I think we got a lot more to like give and pour out. And so like I'm just looking forward to like, yeah, our, we just did our 4-year anniversaries. 4-year anniversary. And it's, some days it felt like it's been 14. Some days it felt like it was last week we got married.
wow,
And yeah, looking forward to just like a quiver full of arrows, and just and then whatever comes of the business and industry and stuff like that. I think every day I get to come home and um, you know, lovely wife, kids that are they don't care like whether you perform well or not that day. They're just excited to see you and to show you random things, and it's amazing. And so I would say that's probably my looking forward.
it's great. Thank you, Toheeb. Thank you so much for your time today. This has been a great interview. I appreciate you saying yes. So we'll look forward to another one in the future, checking in on kind of the state of things and the business and where it heads. And I'd encourage everyone to check out grad15.com, and hopefully they can use that to monetize their time a little better. So thanks
Uh,
again.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.